According to the United States EHP, earthquakes are a result of when two plates collide, get stuck on each other, and eventually free themselves. This is completely natural and has been happening for over thousands of years due to how our planet is made. Over the last couple of years, seismic activity in Oklahoma alone has increased 4,000%, and many scientists and geologists believe that hydraulic fracking, also known as injecting water and drilling into the earth, is because of that. So today I'm going to talk to you about how fracking originated, the history of it, and discuss the pros and the cons, as well as the future of, if we continue using this, what could happen. So let's go on to the history of it. If we rewind back to the year 1930, we will stumble upon Pegoton Gas Field in Grant County, Kansas. There they first began injecting a mixture of sand and gelled gasoline down to around 2,400 feet into the bedrock. The results were unsuccessful, but if you fast forward to around the year 1990, we meet George Mitchell, otherwise known as the father of fracking. He didn't found fracking, but because of his successful use of it, he combined this use of injecting liquid as well as horizontal drilling down into the bedrock, which broke the shale and allowed us to access the natural gas beneath. So now moving on to the pros and cons. With fracking, we can reduce the CO2 emission in the United States by up to 80% by the year 2050, according to the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. Along with this, there are many dangers that are included that are as well as harmful to us as well as the environment. The liquid that is injected down into the bedrock can cause tiny little fractures that can grow over time. These are because of the earthquakes that we have felt over the past few years, the 3.0, 4.0 earthquakes that have probably woken us up in the middle of the night, are because of fracking. If you look at a map, you will notice that the nearest fault line isn't in Oklahoma, but it's in Missouri. And many of the epicenters of these earthquakes are directly in Oklahoma alone. And so the geologists and the scientists believe that fracking is at fault. Another major danger that is because of fracking is the chemicals and the construction of the fluid that is being injected into the earth. There are many chemicals that are used in it, like hydrochloric acid, which would degrade at the minerals that would help us access the natural gas below. If these well sites aren't monitored, this fluid can leak out into nearby streams or rivers, which can pollute that water that we use as drinking water or bathing or washing our dishes. In an article by BBC, it says that many environmentalists claim that this use of water and chemicals can pollute our groundwater, and many campaigners that are against fracking say that this can take away from our investing into renewable energy elsewhere. There are also studies in Germany about the controversies of fracking. According to the European Journal of Future Research, they say that Germany wants to lower its CO2 emission and completely do away with its nuclear energy by the year 2022. They say that with fracking, they can access natural gas. They can access up to 2.3 trillion cubic meters of natural gas. Along with these studies, they've also created these sort of storylines, these scenarios that each one would potentially tell us what the future could look like, and each one has negative impacts on it, such as what I've already said, earthquakes and water pollution. These negative impacts are so grand scale that they even compare them to nuclear catastrophes. So along with these studies in Germany, they've also conducted, we've probably also heard of news stories of rural towns all throughout the Midwest, of people not being able to use their water due to water contamination and having the natural National Guard come in and help us to access fresh water. There's an Oklahoma geologist by the name of Bob Jackson that says that these abandoned wells all throughout the Midwest have leaked fluid into the aquifers nearby, contaminating our fresh water. And so, fracking experimentation will continue as we try to discover new ways of finding ways to access this natural gas. And so, while it is great for getting this natural gas, it's also harmful for our environment as well as ourselves. And so I leave you with this question today. Do we continue to rely on fracking as our way of getting natural gas, or do we invest our energy into different ways?